All right, guys, so in the last volume, we were able to discuss the three different variations of the leg drag. To reiterate those, it was the shelf, the staple, and the standing application. Now, we're going to be using the shelf and the staple more throughout the instructional, but we will see some standing. This volume is going to be the technical applications from different passes. So before addressing how we do the leg drag passes from specific guards, we need to address how we do them from specific passes. So let me elaborate a little bit. We're going to be learning how to do the leg drag from the over-under, from the stack pass, from the double unders, from the Toreando grips, from one in, one out, which is a passing position I'm going to explain to you. Then when we understand how we do it from those specific passes, it will be easier for you to implement them against guards and understand them when I demonstrate it. So for example, in the next volume, we'll discuss how we do the leg drag against De La Riva, how we do the leg drag against reverse De La Riva, and we'll be able to use some of the terminology from this instruction. So for example, I would say, in De La Riva, we're going to find the one in, one out, and we're going to do the X pass to the leg drag. And then it's going to make everything more fluid. So I hope this helps you guys, and let's get right into it. All right, guys, so our starting pass is going to be the Toreando pass, and we're going to talk about the implementation of the leg drag from the Toreando pass. The Toreando pass, in my opinion, is the easiest to implement as a white, blue, purple, brown, black, whatever. I think it's extremely universal. And it's still, to this day, one of the highest percentage passes that I use on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's because I combine it with the leg drag. So let's first look at there's a bunch of different ways to do Toreando pass. So let's look at the way that I do it, and then let's look at the traditional way. So assuming that I get my opponent on the ground, the Toreando pass comes from a double pan grip, okay? I'm not too particular because I like to use the timing concept I explained in the last video, where if you do a technique 50% perfect at the perfect time, it will work, as opposed to 100% perfect at the wrong time. So I typically just grab just above the knees, partially because sometimes I'm leaning on my opponent, right? And I want to keep forward pressure. Sometimes when I feel like I grab the sides, I can't really lean as much. Now, obviously, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not leaning over him so he can just balloon sweep me. I'm just actively keeping some pressure here. Now, traditional Toreando, not my variation, there's two ways people do it. One way is push the knees in and then throw them back, and then the shoulder comes down, which is good. That's a very good beginner level way to pass the guard. It works really well. So that's our traditional entry. Other traditional ways is just skip to the side, throw the legs, and then push the shoulder. Now, what I think is a much higher way to hit the Toreando pass, and I never do it those two ways I just showed you since implementing it this way, is to actively search for the leg drag during the Toreando. So let's look at that. So I'm here. Now, what we need to understand is how my arms are going to work. I'm going to make an extension of my right arm in this case, and my left arm is going to drag the leg. So we're going to be dragging this leg. So there's a little bit of footwork. The footwork is going to be a 1, 2, 3. I'm going to step my left leg 1. I'm going to step my right leg shuffled back 2. And then my third is going to be to shoot my knee in. Now, this is where we get to pick which leg drag variation we'd like to use. You can go standing, you can go shelf, or you can go staple. I always go staple here because I treat it much like I'm shooting a wrestling shot, right? I go here and I staple his leg really aggressively. So let's look at the upper body now. I'm pushing his legs in, okay? And I'm going to push this leg to the side. Make a straight arm extension. Make sure your elbow's locked out, okay? And then this leg, I'm just going to pull it through simultaneously as I'm doing these lower body movements, like this. Now again, here I could go standing, but I prefer to shoot all the way. Now, understand what my arm is doing, right? I'm here. Okay? And now look, my leg comes in. I'm going slow for the sake of demonstration. My elbow is going to come over. My ribs are going to start to pin, and I'm shooting my knee down. Okay? And now look, my elbow comes here and I grab. So again, I'm here in the Toreando. You can do this extremely quickly. Okay, so extend, pull, and then my lower body, left foot steps, right foot shuffles, and right, you can drill this just like this to get the footwork. Your arms are kind of doing this, right? And then I'm going to bring my leg in. So again, I'm here. and I shoot him down. Guys, you want to aggressively pin the bottom leg. Okay, if I do it to the other side. Okay. All right, so I shoot him down. So I'm here. Boom. And again, you can go standing. Now we see our variations. We can go shelf, right? Or we can pin with the staple. There's a reason why I like to use the staple. I think in the chaos of the scramble, you have a little window of opportunity where you can really shoot that knee down. And when you do so, you're going to be able to pin your opponent better. So again, I'm here and I shoot through. The beauty of this pass is because if you're able to get the double pin grips and your opponent hasn't established a guard, so like a De La Riva or anything, you're just kind of open, you should pass, right? The odds are in your favor. He doesn't have a guard established, so I want to be able to pass. But the beauty of it is I can move side to side, right? I can go here, he starts to turn, I switch, he starts to turn, I come here, and then I can pin, right? But I just want to create the opening to where this leg is theoretically past. See how it's theoretically past my hip? Well, guess what? I can shoot. No gi, you can just use the knees. And it's just a little bit more slippery. You can use the ankles. But you want to get good at shooting and getting directly into the staple. So guys, that's the leg drag from Toreando. All right, guys, so we just looked at the leg drag from the Toreando situation. Now we're going to be looking at the leg drag from the X-Pass. I want to reiterate that this volume is going to be devoted to doing the leg drag from specific passes, not against specific guards, because again, it's going to make it more fluid so that we can address this in the next volume when we talk about specific guards. So the X-Pass is the I started with my two favorite, the Toreando and the X-Pass. We're going to go over some for people who are not trying to be as mobile. I like to be more mobile. And some pressure variations. So the X-Pass leg drag comes from a 1-in, 1-out passing position. So typically, for the most part, anytime I'm passing the guard, I try to get into a 1-in, 1-out passing position. So 1 foot inside ties 2 legs, 1 foot out. This passing position was taught to me by Marcelo Garcia, and it's a good place to mix up the way that you pass the guard. And I learned it as a white belt, and since then, it's been kind of my golden chicken. So the X-Pass is always the first pass I attempt from this position. So what is the X-Pass? The X-Pass, I can either hold no gi, I can just put my hand on his chest or his sternum. Gi, I can hold his lapel, I can hold both lapels. Never hold the cross lapel, ever, because it can give. Now, you can hold the cross lapel if you're doing different things, right? Like knee cuts, etc. But for the X-Pass, we don't want to hold it. We want to hold this same side lapel, both, or hand on the stomach. I want you to think more conceptually. What's this hand doing? It's keeping his chest and hip down. Okay? Don't focus too much on what I'm grabbing. Next, my other hand is going to control the outside of his leg, the pants. If it's no gi, you control the top of the knee. But again, think conceptually. Don't focus on what I'm grabbing. I'm going to be trying to turn him to a single hip position. Why? Because that's where the leg drag comes from. So ultimately, I'm going to be trying to do this. So what is the leg drag? The leg drag is going to come in when I'm able to fold his hip. And what is the X-Pass? The X-Pass is called the X-Pass because my hands make an X. So again, don't focus on what I'm grabbing. Focus on the concepts. I'm keeping his chest and hip down with my arm, and I'm going to fold his hip with my other arm. Right hand keeps chest and hip down. Left hand controls the leg. Now, if I am using the grips, because we do have access to the gi, I'm going to be here and here. I'm kind of putting all my weight forward initially. Again, be mindful. You're not too far forward so that he can just put a hook in and kick you this way and you're completely off balance, right? But you're not back so that he has no pressure. Because if I'm back and he just sits up and he starts to grab my leg, that's a huge issue too. So I have to keep enough pressure that I can keep him down, okay? I'm on my toes, and look what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to kick my right leg up. Big mistake with the X-Pass is people kick up at the crook of the knee. So what does that mean? They do this, okay? Now, that's not wrong. It's just a different pass. That is not the X-Pass. That's more of a pummel pass where I'm kind of trying to pummel on his shin, like so, which we're going to discuss, right? I want to come here, hook his leg, and push it away. That's not the X-Pass. We want to kick up at the groin. I want to make a huge donkey kick on my right leg. In doing so, I have all my pressure on his chest. I'm going to alleviate all the pressure from my right hand and shift it to my left hand, which is the hand on the knee. Why do I alleviate the pressure from my right, switch to the left? So that all my pressure can push down. Big tip for the X pass that I can give you guys is you can almost come 1 inch off the ground for literally 1 millisecond to put all your weight on his leg. And if you do have access to the gi, roll your knuckles in and push it. So it might look like this. Okay, so I'm up way high. And look, I punched his leg. Now look what I do. This is why I like to use the staple. Again, I can go into standing, shelf, or staple, but I like to come crashing down so I can use my weight distribution. Then I come here, look, my elbow comes. I can continue to hold the grip for a little until I establish. I keep everything tight, and I let go. And now we're in our staple leg drag position. Sometimes when you're doing these passes, it may be difficult for you to immediately get the hook on his leg, and that's okay. You can shift there, or you can hide your leg by keeping, stay here, by keeping your heel to your butt and not leaving any space for him to underhook in the first place, right? So I'm here, it's gonna be hard for him to underhook. He's not gonna be able to penetrate. So again, I'm here like this. So our X pass comes to review everything from the 1 in 1 out position, okay? One hand is controlling his stomach, keeping his shoulders and hip on the mat as best I can with good weight distribution going forward. My opposite hand is controlling his leg. I'm gonna kick my right leg up at the groin, not at the knee. As I do so, I'm gonna shove his leg down, okay? And I'm gonna come for the leg drag. Again, I can go standing, create the scramble. He tries to turn into me. Maybe that's your style. Or I can go shelf, right? I can come down to here. Or the way that I like to do it is more quick and fold into the leg drag. I like to look for the back very often. This kind of solidifies that he's going to be on that single hip position. So one more time. That same tip again. Try to jump a little bit as you pass, guys. It seems so crazy, but it works so well. Again, we're here. Look. Right? And I shove his leg down. Okay, one more time. We're in the 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. And I get into this leg drag position. Now we know what to do from here. We can start to pin and control, right? We can start to look for the back, right? We can just hold. We can start to look for submissions. There's a bunch of things, but we get to that leg drag and it's going to be a bridge and a stopping place where we can establish better control. So one more time, 1 in, 1 out. Do not kick up here. It's a different pass. Kick way up. If you're unable to jump, because it might be a little bit more athletically demanding, you can just push down, kick up. Try to make a full extension of your left arm and lock your elbow out. That way he's not going against muscle, he's going against bone. Anytime you have a bend in your elbow, you're going to be using your muscles to try to hold his leg as opposed to bone structure if you're able to lock it out. And then I come here. Again, you can go to standing, shelf, or staple. So that's the leg drag for the X pass. All right, guys, so now we've looked at the X pass variation and the Toreando pass. Now we're going to look at something that's extremely similar to the X pass that's also going to come from a 1 in, 1 out for the most part, and it's going to be a circle pass variation. So we're going to get right into it. Circle pass to the leg drag. Everything's going to the leg drag. So what is the circle pass? It can come from 1 in, 1 out, or it can come from a similar position where we're a little farther away, so we're not 1 in, 1 out. And what I'm going to be trying to do is I'm going to try to redirect his hips multiple times. So initially, I'm going to put him in a single hip position on his right hip, and then I'm going to end with him in a single hip position on his left hip. So I'm going to fold this way and then fold back the other way. That's why I call it a circle pass. We're kind of doing a circle. So what is a circle pass? So rather than using his lapel high up on his chest, we're actually going to grab a little lower because we're farther back. I want to make sure I wedge my elbow deep inside his groin. Guys, this is probably the pass that I initially thought was simple till I started teaching it often, and I realized that there are a lot of mistakes that people make with it. So I'm going to try to address most of them, but this is a pass that you want to drill with your partner and make sure that they feel the discomfort. So again, I'm here, okay, lower, so I'm not as high. My elbow's tight. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring him this way. I'm on my toes. My head needs to stay underneath this knee. So I don't want my head here. Why? He's going to bring his knee in and start to push me. It's not going to be nearly as effective. So my head is here, okay? Now, from here, he can't lasso me. It's really difficult. He tries to lasso. It's really hard because I'm low. I'm almost in like a plank, right? So I bring him this way. Again, we're here. And now look, I'm perpendicular with him, right? We're at a 90-degree angle. I'm on my toes. You're not on your knees, guys, okay? You're on your toes. Your head is here. And now I'm going to cup the top of his knee, and I'm going to walk it back to a leg drag, like so. And then I find the leg drag. This is a great pass no-gi because you don't need the grips. So for example, without the gi, I'm cupping and cupping with these monkey paw grips like so. Okay? And then look, I'm low. He can't lasso. He's trying to push me. I go with him pushing me. He's pushing me good. I walk back with the push, and I go into a staple leg drag. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to go into a standing leg drag or a shelf because you're already so low as it is. You really need the momentum to circle back, i.e. the circle pass. So again, we force him to his right hip. Then we're going to circle back. But you have to keep yourself low, and you have to keep your elbow wedged in his hip. You cannot do this, guys. This is what I see a lot when I teach it. Guys, look at the room here. Lasso your left leg. Yeah, look. Not good, guys. Not the end of the world, but you messed up because you had a full extension of your right hand. So don't confuse this with an X-Pass grip. X-Pass is here. Circle pass is here. Guys, big little tip that's very, very advanced is I'm going to keep my elbow on my hip wedged down. So look, again, I'm small. These are little things I've learned. Look how I'm kind of forcing his leg down here. That's how I initially am able to get it down. I'm pushing with my hip. I can't do that alone, so I'm here. And now I circle back. And oftentimes I circle back as tie frames. So I get here, he's framing, and I get to here. Again, great no-gi pass because I'm not really using the gi. So make sure your body's low. Make sure your head positioning is below his knee line. Make sure your elbows are bent. Try to get to a position where none of your arms are extended. Let me reiterate it one more time. No extension. Here, I go in really, I don't reach in and give him all of this elbow extension from my ribs. I'm here, I kind of dive in. And look how low, guys. Look at my body positioning. Okay, it's very hard for him to do anything. My hip is on this. Okay, and then I walk back and I get into a staple leg drag. Guys, an excellent, excellent pass. It's a great way to engage the roll, and it's a great way to solidify a tight pass in no-gi, which is already a daunting task. So that's the circle pass to leg drag. All right, guys, so now we've looked at the Toreando, the X, and the circle pass, three of my favorite passes. Now we're going to be switching up gears and looking at a 2-on-1 grip variation for the leg drag. So again, we're not talking about where these passes can be found just yet. We're just talking about the passes. So let's jump right into it. So the 2-on-1 grip variation for the leg drag is exactly what it sounds like. You can lie on your back. I'm doing a 2-on-1 grip. Now, again, I always try to teach conceptually because I think it's more understandable that way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this 2-on-1 is better than this 2-on-1, is better than this 2-on-1, is better than this 2-on-1. Because to be completely honest, I don't know what's better for you. I'm not you. And I know that sounds like it doesn't make much sense, but everyone's going to be different, right? Everybody wants a perfect answer, but it's like in jiu-jitsu, things are not perfect. For example, the 2-on-1 grip that I like to use is ankle and outside of the knee. Because I think for me personally, it gives me the control to pull his knee in and throw it by. Because the 2-on-1 grip is very simple. I just grab a 2-on-1 and I just drag, okay? But I've seen people teach the outside ankle, inside knee. Okay, I've seen that because maybe they feel they have more pulling power with like a vertical fish grip as opposed to this. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. I've seen people just drag the leg like this. So the 2-on-1 grip of the leg drag that I'm going to show you is cupping inside the ankle, outside the knee. You can do whatever you want. Just think about the concept. Just grab two grips on his leg. It's the easiest leg drag and drag his leg. You would be astounded at how often this works. It's honestly, it blows my mind because I see it happen all the time. Like you're just here and you just drag and boom. Look, notice how I immediately get into that squatted position. I made a nice grip here and I can start to go into a standing leg drag, shelf, staple. You guys know what I would do by this point. I would staple. I like to use all my forward momentum and try to replicate a wrestling shot as I already showed you guys. So I would be here and I would shoot in. Another reason that I like these grips is because if you notice the other two passes I showed you were with similar grips. And we're going to use this outside knee grip a lot more throughout the instructional. But again, if you do it this way, that's fine. Whatever works best for you. But the concept is just get two arms on one of his legs because his legs are strong. Drag it across your body and try to find the shelf, staple, or standing leg drag, whichever one works best for you. So again, boom, boom. Maybe it's standing. Maybe I start to solidify. I'm here. Maybe I drag. I shoot in. Okay. I'm here. Maybe I drag. I go straight to a combat base. Whatever your preference is fine. Again, we're not talking about where we're going to apply this. That's just one more variation of the leg drag. We looked at the 2-on-1 variation of the leg drag. We've looked at several other variations. Now we're going to do the single leg pant throw by, right? So basically we're going to grab a pant grip and we're going to throw it by. Some people refer to it as the punch pass, but they don't really go into the leg drag. So let's look at this. If you notice on the X pass, we had these grips, outside pant. Again, you can use whatever grips you want. Just think of the concepts. On the 2-on-1 leg drag, we had these grips. On the circle pass, we were still controlling this leg. On the Toreando, we have these grips. So what's the single leg throw by? I'm throwing by one of his legs. I'm throwing by a single leg. So how does this work? Just to demonstrate, let's imagine we're in the Toreando. Okay? Maybe I'm here and I'm about to pass, but I don't think I can. So now, since I'm at a different angle, I'm going to do a full redirection. Because look at my angle with Ty. I'm on the left side of Ty's body, my right, and I'm trying to pass this way. Right? It seems like a clear objective. But what I'm going to do is use the concept of redirection, which I think is one of, if not the best concepts for guard passing, switching side to side, redirecting him, and go all the way to the other side. How am I going to be able to do that? I'm going to throw his leg by. So I'm here. He kind of thinks I'm passing this way. He might be a little complacent. I'm going to take a big step. I'm going to do it quickly first and throw his leg. So I jumped. I threw him to a single hip position, and I have completely redirected my passing. Okay? So now what do you guys think I do? Me? I shoot for an aggressive staple leg drag. Okay? If I'm unable to shoot for this aggressive staple leg drag, standing or shelf. I think by this point in the instructional, you guys probably know the drill. So again, I'm here, I'm passing, and look, I'm gonna use my hips to aid, to aid me and throw his leg by, and I'm gonna make that knuckles straight arm grip that we've been utilizing throughout the instructional to shove his leg by. But as I do so, look, I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna go really slow for demonstration. I jump and throw it. Now I know it may seem like there's a lot of distance between Ty and I, but since I've redirected him, I have the edge. The reason I have the edge is because I understand my path. He doesn't. He's on the defensive. So what that means is I'm being offensive. I'm switching sides. I know my end goal. He's just defending. He has no idea what I'm going to do next. He may think he does, but he can't read minds. And so from being at this passing angle, he might think I'm going to keep trying to drive my shoulder and pass. But when I do a full redirection, it's going to give me the opportunity to shoot in for the leg drag. Okay? Now I can do that several different ways. I can be here and I can just throw. Right? Again, look at my hip, look at my arm, I throw. Okay? Or I might be passing this way, trying to pass Toreando. I throw. Guys, look. I roll my knuckles into his knee, and then I go into my leg drag. So this is one of the best passes. We're going to see some technical applications of this pass against different guards that you guys probably find very hard to pass in the next volume. But it's important you understand. I throw. One. I throw. Right? So just get into the habit of throwing it by. It may seem aggressive. It may seem like it might not work. I promise you it will work. So again, I'm here. And I throw. So that's our single leg throw by. You can go into any variation. I recommend the staple. Guys, now we're going to be looking at the leg drag with the knee or ankle grips. So I kind of wanted to put this clip in the instructional just to make sure I address some of the questions a lot of you guys might ask about using it in no-gi. My last instructional on the half butterfly guard, I would say that the majority of the questions I got was before people bought it, and after it was, can I use this in no-gi? how do I use this in no-gi, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to elaborate. So let's look at the leg drags with the ankle or knees. Guys, not much changes. Okay, so a big tip my old professor gave me when discussing the application of techniques in no-gi is just looking at what common sense would shift into no-gi. So for example, like here, can you sit up for a second? Like if I'm using a sleeve grip, what's the most common grip that would replicate a sleeve grip? The wrist, right? If I'm using this elbow grip, obviously elbow. If I'm using the collar, oftentimes if he's sitting up, it's a collar tie on his head, right? So if we lie back down. So addressing this, if I'm using these outside paint grips, I'm just grabbing his knees, guys. It seems crazy and it seems funny that I even explained that, but you'd be surprised how many students from my experience teaching for so long have these questions. And I think it's important that they're addressed because they might not understand the applications of different things in no-gi versus gi. So if I'm using paint grips, I can grab here. Now, obviously, it's going to be more slippery, and I'm going to want to move quicker. So if I'm doing the Toreando that we demonstrated in the beginning of this volume, I'm going to be moving here. Everything's going to be more slippery. If I'm using the ankles, right, I'm not going to be able to throw his leg as much. So rather than throw his leg, I'm going to want to fold his hip. So kind of like this. So if you notice with the knee, we try to throw. With the ankle, we just try to fold. Because I'm not going to have as much power to throw his leg. Hold your knee. It's going to be really hard. But if he holds his knee, I can still push it in a little bit, enough to get my knee inside. So if I'm using the ankles, I'm more trying to find that space to create the leg drag. Right? It can be a little chaotic when you land. So sometimes, no-gi, I land on my hand. That's okay. I've created the scramble. He tries to fight back. I'm hugging him. Right? I'm tight. And then I can start to pass. You have to expect that things become increasingly slippery with no-gi, but not much changes on the application. Even to elaborate more, the circle pass is still here, here. The X pass is here, here. The throw by can even be here and trying to throw by. Every single technique that we've gone over thus far has application in no-gi. Every single one. Is it going to be as successful? That's on you. I have no idea. Probably not, being honest. I don't sugarcoat it. But it's still going to create chaos where you're dictating the pace, where you're consistently moving, where you're pushing your opponent. So what that ends up doing is keeping you out of harm's way. Because if Ty's defending my crazy leg drags left to right, right to left, then he's not attacking my legs. He's not heel hooking me. So I'm able to create this chaos, and I'm able to be the one who understands where the chaos ends. So that's my advice to you. Take everything with a grain of salt. These techniques do work in no-gi. Let's keep going on some other passes. All right, guys, now we're going to switch gears a little. Still talking about leg drag specific passes, not against guards, just from different passes. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite variations of the leg drag. One other things that I normally do aren't working, which is the stack pass, but not the traditional stack. We're going to talk about that too. But we're going to talk about more of a modern stack where we use his ankles. So what is this stack? So Ty's here, and I grab his ankles. I'm not going to discuss too much of the entry. Ultimately, I want to have thumbs up to be able to push him. So I'm not going to be able to stack him like this. It gets awkward on my wrist. I need my thumbs up. Normally, I switch like this and kind of get to a position. So I lift and turn, and then I'm going to stack him. Okay? Ultimately, I want to stack him all the way, but I'm going to save Ty's neck today. Right? If it was competition, I'm going to stack him as hard as I can. But we're not competing. We're filming instructional. So what do? Right away, I keep my knees pinched on his back and I keep low. Okay? Now I'm going to take my left knee and I'm going to put it over the crook of his right knee. Like so. Okay? From this position, I was here. I switched to here. Look, guys, my knee needs to be pinched beneath his back and I have to keep myself low. Okay? To finish in the leg drag, I'm going to bring his leg, pull it across. Okay, now I'm in the leg drag. Grab his collar. I'm in a standing leg drag. I'm going to go to the shelf position. So here. And now I've successfully dragged his leg very easily, and I'm going to continue to pass. So in this specific scenario, I don't go to the staple. See, now we're seeing how we can use the different variations. We start with the standing, and as I mentioned earlier, we bridge, and we use it as a bridge to go into the shelf. So again, we're here. We stack. We get low. And look, my knee pins right away. Because what's Ty going to try to do? Scoop back and push me this way. Exactly. So I have to prevent that. And again, for the video, I'm being nice. So I'm here and here. I'm low. Now look, I come through and I'm going to grab the back of his gi as much as I can, keep myself low. It's imperative that this knee is turned in. If it's open, he's going to be able to get back. My knee is holding his hip up. I pull his leg. I'm nice and tight and shelf. As you shelf, your grip between your elbow and knee and your rib pressure is going to tighten up tremendously. And that's very important. You have to make sure that as he comes back, you stay tight. What you don't want to do, let me stack it again. What you don't want to do is get to here, drag his leg, and as he comes back, let him do that. So everything has to be tight. This is a much more methodical pass that you would do slower. But again, helping my friend out here by not hurting his neck. We're going to do it one more time, but you want to be slow. This is painful. If they let you get this far, obviously be mindful of your training partner's necks. Don't go in your academy and try to break necks. But be tight, and make sure you solidify the pass. If they're in clear discomfort, they should tap. I mean, I assume they would. But this is not a very nice pass, to say the least. So one more time. We're here. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get to the stack. And we're going to look at some other variations of this. I put my knee here. I switch, right? So I'm here, and I switch. Keep this grip and this knee. This is super important so he doesn't come back. Sometimes as he's coming back, push me back, that's when I can drag. It's not the prettiest leg drag, a leg drag nonetheless. Swim in, start to pass. So guys, it's that simple. We're applying these leg drag concepts from all over the place, and you should be starting to see a pattern here. All right, guys, so we have looked at the leg drag from so many different places, right? The Toreando, the X pass, the circle pass, the single leg throw by, the 2-on-1 variation, stack pass, and probably more, right? We've done so much. We've talked about the application no-gi. We're going to continue. We have about 5 more techniques in this volume, talking specifically about how we do the leg drag from different passes. This is a fan favorite at my academy, and it's applying the leg drag from the over-under pass. And the beauty of this is that sometimes, especially me being a smaller person, trying to apply the infamous Bernardo over-under, I do a very good job of it, but I find that at the end, my opponent starts to frame me. And one thing that I don't think I've mentioned much, subtle, I've mentioned it a couple times more subtly, is when somebody's shoving you back, the leg drag can be an incredible option. So we're going to discuss both of these things right now. So the over-under pass. My difficulty with the over-under pass lies in I'm here, I'm starting to pass, I straighten his leg, I get my leg free, and now Ty starts to shove me. Yes, exactly. Guys, sometimes when Ty starts to shove me, right, it's hard for me to continue pushing forward. I try to push forward. And he pushes me, right? So look, what I like to do is just shift. I hold him here so he can't push me too far. So you guys can't see, but my left hand right now is grabbing his gi. And then look, I'm going to bring my leg over and just come into the leg drag. Okay? Ideally, I do this even when he's not pushing me. Let's come back. So I'm here and here. I'm in the over-under pass. For those that aren't familiar with the over-under, my right hand is underneath his leg. My left hand is over his leg. And I'm driving forward. I'm at an angle with my hips so I can put pressure on his stomach. And I drive forward at an angle. I'm perpendicular with him. I'm going to straighten his leg. Walk back so that I'm in a 180-degree line with him. Kick the leg that's in between his legs up and out. Come here. And for my purpose, switch into the leg drag. How do I make that last switch? I just pummel my right hand out and over, and I make sure to lift my right knee through. It can be a little difficult initially and can be a little discomforting, but I can assure you that it works well, especially when your opponent's pushing you. So again, I'm here, right, I straighten, kick out. He's starting to push me. I just drive myself through, right? And once I get here, he can no longer push me as successfully, and I can continue to solidify the leg drag. Again, even if he's not pushing you, as you're doing the over-under, granted you free your right leg, you can start to look for the leg drag. Sometimes a little bit more advanced variation that I do is I'm here, right? And look, I pummel my leg, push, come here, and I kind of go straight into a shelf leg drag like so. So I don't have the most amazing control, but because his leg is shelved on me, as we've been explaining, he cannot draw this knee in to retain guard. So as he tries to retain guard, I just hold this leg and then switch my hip, solidify the over-under. So again, we're using all the stuff that we've been going over and starting to build a systematic approach with it. Go Skies. All right, guys, now we're going to look at applying the leg drag from one of the most popular positions in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, period, the double under pass. So let's look at it more from a double under stack, but there's a couple ways we can apply it from double under. So first, let's count double unders. The most popular pass from the double under is that I'm here, I reach for the far collar, I start to come up, make him smell his knee, and I grab here. Guys, sometimes when finishing the double under, I want to, let's turn. So I make him smell his knee. I want to move my chest out of the way and let his knee come down. A problem that I have with this pass, being a smaller guy, is that Ty still has extension of his right and left leg, and he also still has good hip rotation. So what does he do? He rolls his hip to face me, and then he pushes exactly. And look at the problem. It's his now bottom leg. Initially it was his top leg, his left one. So I like to control everything with the leg drag. So I come here, I stack him, I make him smell his knee. I'm being nice for the sake of demonstration. Look, as I alleviate the pressure, right? I'm here. I just pummel over. Now when he tries to turn in, I'm in the shelf leg drag, right? When you get good at controlling that way, it's so hard for your opponent to retain guard. So one more time, we're here. Assuming we're already in the traditional stack, right? I'm stacking him high, I'm stacking him high. I move out of the way. I immediately switch into that leg drag position. So in this case, this is a good example of how we're using the leg drag shelf or staple, whatever you end up in, to be a bridge to a pass, a pinning and control. Because we're not necessarily using it as a guard pass here. We're using it to bridge our stack pass to our side control. So rather than go stack pass side, we go stack pass, leg drag, side. Why? Just a little bit more out of control. And sometimes, especially for the smaller guys, that's going to make all the difference on solidifying your pass, especially if you're point hunting or you're competing in jiu-jitsu. These are things that I learned from Bernardo. He always used to say to marinate the guy, put so much pressure on the guy until he just wants you to concede to the pass. So I didn't always apply the leg drag necessarily in this way, but theoretically it was a great position that I already used where I could implement that strategy of marinate the guy, pressure him, and kind of bridge myself to where sometimes I stack it to the leg drag. I'll hold that leg drag for 30, 45 seconds till they've completely conceded and they already assume that their guard is passed. Then I can proceed to pass much more controlled. So that's something that I want you guys to think about. The other stack pass variation of the leg drag is going to be dependent on you being able to lift and stack them forward. Okay, and then we're going to do the same stack pass variation when we have the cup grips, right? We're going to pin his crook of his knee with our left leg in this case. We're going to keep our knee heavy here. We're going to grab, we're going to pull, and we're going to end up in the shelf leg drag. So again, that's dependent on you just lifting your opponent. So again, we're not going over the specifics of the pass. We're showing the usability during these passes that you might already know. Whether you already know it or not, that's up to you. If you don't know it, you probably don't use it very often. So it might not be a good asset to your game, but it will help you defend it. So again, if they stack you with that belt and they go for the leg drag, be aware. And if you're using the stack pass, but you haven't been having as much success, right? Once you are able to boom, lift them, pull them forward, go straight here, here, and shove. And again, guys, not everything's perfect. So to address, sometimes maybe I don't get my elbow in front of his knee, but what's the concept? I need to keep his knee here. So maybe I could just keep my hand here for a little bit. And then I switch, right? Take everything with a grain of salt and understand that things may not always go as planned, but as long as you understand conceptually, and I use that term a lot because it's so important, what you are trying to accomplish, it will make it easier. All right, guys, we've seen so many different leg drags from different guard passes that you probably are already familiar with. Now we're going to look at another very popular one from one of the most popular passes, the folding pass. So let's just get right into it. So I mentioned earlier in this volume that when I'm passing my opponent's guard, I like to be one leg in, one leg out. So from this position, I like to do my X pass. I like to do knee cuts, which we're going to discuss next. And I like to do folding passes. So when I do the folding pass, I'm going to fold my opponent and use that concept of redirection that I've been mentioning. So I'm going to go this way to go this way, right? Or the other way. So look, I'm here like this. Sometimes I fold because I bring him this way, right? He's pushing me with his knee, so I bring him the other way. And then I fold him down. So how do I get to the leg drag from here? So let's go back to the top. Let's just assume I folded him. I'm going to open my knee so that my knee is on the outside of his shin. That's very important for the folding pass. I'm going to use my arm, again with that punch grip, to punch his legs down. And I'm going to sprawl my hip back like so. Okay? Once I do this, guys, all I'm going to do to get the leg drag might seem really silly. So I'm just going to place myself in the position. So I just come here. There's two ways. I can pummel. Okay? I can be fancy. But oftentimes, if you have enough pressure down, you don't even need to pummel. You just come up, switch into the leg drag. And again, another great example of using the leg drag as a pinning and control position as opposed to a pass. Because while I am passing the guard with it, I might have already been able to pass with the folding pass. But I'm choosing to take one extra step to make my pass tighter. And so these are things that helped my game so much as far as passing high-level guys' guards. So again, I'm here, open my knee, fold my opponent to a single hip position, and sprawl back. Now I drive my head down, keep my weight here, insert the staple, and get into the leg drag position. So one more time, a little quicker. We're here, we're passing, maybe we go this way, we open. And I just start to drive. So this will keep you glued to your opponent. And again, we're going to see specific application of all these passes against different guards in the next volume. All right, guys, we have looked at so many different leg drags for so many different passes. And I hope thus far everything's making sense and it's running fluidly for you guys. Always, if you have questions, let me know on social media, YouTube, the Facebook group, whatever it might be. We're going to talk about the knee slice, which for a lot of people always ask me in my jiu-jitsu classes, because everyone I train with knows I'm obsessed with leg drags. If you guys ever come visit, you'll know too. Probably going to try to leg drag you. When I do the knee slice, Ty knows about the leg drag. When I do the knee slice, it seems weird to try to leg drag, but we're going to be using it as a connection between the pass and the solidification. So one more time, talking about that concept, I'm doing a little bit different of a knee slice. So let's turn this way. So it comes from the 1-in, 1-out passing position, which we're going to be using a lot for different guards. So far from the 1-in, 1-out, we've seen potentially a circle pass, right? We've seen an X pass, all to leg drags. We've seen the throw by, right? We can even come here and start to Toreando, whatever it might be. Now we're going to look at the knee slice, arguably the most popular pass in jiu-jitsu. How do I knee slice from here? Initially, I have the collar and the pants like we've had with everything. I'll explain why I don't start with the sleeve in the next video, but it's going to be because we're addressing De La Riva and stuff with these passes. So I'm here and here, and look, I'm going to push down on his leg, and I'm going to try to get my knee to staple his leg, like so. So I bring him to a single hip position. Very important is the positioning of my body. My head goes low to his shoulder. Okay, I'm going to keep it up for demonstration purposes, but I am not here because then this knee comes in and gives me a little Muay Thai. My shoulder stays on the inside of his groin. Everything is tight, okay? This leg is way out to kickstand. I'm not here so that he can't try to grab it and start doing weird things with it, okay? My knee does not touch the mat just yet, okay? This is like a stutter step. Once I feel comfortable, my knee can touch the mat and I can grab his elbow, okay? Now look, I'm going to draw my knee back, okay? And I'm going to find the leg drag. So rather than the traditional knee slide, which I find a lot of issues with, where I slide out, there's a little bit of space for that guard retention where he can put that knee in. It's not the end of the world. I turn into him, he pushes me, we create a scramble. But rather than do that, once my knee makes that contact with the mat, I'm going to bring his hip back using that concept of redirection yet again. Redirection meaning he's on a single hip position on his right hip. We're going to force him flat. We're actually going to force him all the way to his left hip, pardon me. So we're here, and here, and look. And I got to the leg drag. Now, this is a high level pass for sure, because at this point, you are pretty much past the guard. That's why I say it's a bridge, because most people, when you're here and you get here and you're driving up, right? You got to keep their elbow off the mat so they can't hip skip, and your knee makes contact with the mat. Most people in the academy, non-competition, are going to concede. It's an uncomfortable position to be in. It sucks, and they're kind of like, oh, he's going to pass. So when I do this, I'm doing it to get that solidification again, to grind them out. Because when they think, oh, he's going to pass, no. I'm going to go to the leg drag. I'm going to put a bunch of pressure, potentially look for the back or the Ezekiel, and solidify even better on a high level, guys. So how do I do this? It's hard to do slowly, but I'm going to draw my knee back, almost as if I'm sprawling. When I teach this, I teach it as, right? I'm kind of sliding my knee down the mat. This might be new for a lot of us. So again, I'm here, drive. Now my hip makes contact. So it's no longer my knee as much as my hip. And now I'm walking my hip back and coming into the leg drag. Again, like I said, it's a little hard to do slow. So it's kind of a quick movement. Ty can tell you it feels bad. It's a lot of pressure. So again, I'm here and here. And I find my way into the leg drag. So again, unorthodox. My opinion, if you're smaller, necessary. And again, we've seen in the beginning how the leg drag can lead to the back takes. It can be a pinning position. It can lead to the leg locks. It can lead to the back. So that's my goal with always trying to get to the leg drag. I literally almost always try to get to the leg drag. So I hope you guys can also start to see it more often. This pass might be a little bit higher level, but even if you don't go to the leg drag, I urge you to try this knee slice, going a little bit off topic because it's much higher level. If you're able to force them here, and you can just get them back to here, now you can at least keep hip connection the whole time, so we can eliminate the problem of that bottom leg coming in when you knee slice. Anyways, guys, that's it for the knee slice. Os. All right, guys, we have gone over so many different leg drags, and I hope you guys are enjoying everything thus far. At this point, we're going to be discussing what I think is the most advanced concept in this instructional. So if you're focusing on the other stuff, as far as progression through the instructional, I might stick with it, but I would definitely try to understand this at the very least. You don't have to implement, just understand. And it is going to be the concept of a rolling leg drag. So the rolling leg drag may be the leg drag I use most often in a lot of situations. And the reason is because I create a lot of chaos through other passes, and there will be more instructionals to come on my passing systems. This instructional is just the leg drag. And in that chaos, I'm consistently engaging with these rolling leg drags. So a lot of people try rolling to the truck or the twister hook. If you're familiar with that, it's like a 10th Planet thing. Mia brothers use it, Mendes brothers use it. I actually find that this is something that I haven't seen taught very often. I'm not claiming I invented it at all, because I've seen Rafa Mendes do it plenty of times. I just don't know if he's demonstrated it publicly. And it's just rolling into the leg drag as opposed to the truck or twister, because the truck hook and the twister hook are essentially just a leg drag. And we're actually going to talk about that later in the video. But let's look at the rolling leg drag so you guys can understand. I'll stop rambling. So you go on your back. So again, this happens for the most part from 1 in, 1 out. Most of the passes we've done have been here: circle pass, X pass, throw by pass, folding pass, knee slice, etc., etc. So now the rolling leg drag. How does this happen from here? Typically it happens, I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can find this. And again, this is just an overview of the rolling leg drag, but typically it happens from a back step. So I'm here, I back step, right? I'm not doing everything perfectly right now. And then I just start to roll. Okay? Now I'm going to show you it first. Once I roll, a lot of people from here try to look for the twister hook. But instead of looking for the twister hook, I look just to get my shin and my knee behind his knee. So the crook of my knee behind his knee, like so. Okay, I have to make sure that my right leg, my like I said, this is the most advanced part of the DVD. My heel is heavy, and I'm not like this, because he can hurt my knee. If he draws this in and pushes the other, yeah, he can hurt my knee. But if I'm like this, he can't really hurt my knee. So now my hand is here. I bring my knee behind his knee. We're going to change the angle soon. And now all I have to do to get the leg drag, my right hand is on his belt. My left hand's on his ankle. I'm going to start to push, right? I use my hip. I'm making my hip heavy. right? I'm pushing, okay? Now I'm gonna get this leg out. Toes to the mat, active toes. Hand is gonna drag the leg as I come up. Everything's happening as I come up, 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 up. Look, toes, active toes, lifting the hip, up, 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 up. Sticky hook. And now, leg drag. Okay, so one more time. I'm here, right? I'm going very slow for the sake of demonstration. I do my big back step, boom. Look, I'm not even really rolling. I'm gonna bring my hip on his hip and my shoulder next to his hip. Hip on the hip, shoulder next to the hip. Now the left knee goes behind his knee. Okay, my right hand is on his hip. I bring this leg, or my arm, pardon me. I'm gonna use my knee, my right leg, and my hand, everything, all 4 parts of my body right now. Knee, leg, left arm, right arm, to push him down. Okay, it's very important that here, leg comes out, start to come up. Here, extend, okay? That's why the sticky hook is important. I extend, boom, and I get to the rolling leg drag. So that's one way we get there. Another way is sometimes when I'm scrambling and I throw by and I end up here and he starts to turn into me, I just roll through. Same thing, guys. Hip goes on the hip, shoulder to the mat, left leg goes behind the leg. Once I get here, I'm homeward bound. Start to bring him here, extend, and I come up. Okay, I do this from so many places, right? Sometimes I'm here in the quarter guard. He's got my ankle. I can't get my ankle out. Switch, hip comes to the hip, shoulder. Now look, this is how it's very similar to the truck. Right now, I essentially have the truck, right? I can go for all the truck. I prefer not to, because by giving him this hook, if the guy is good enough, he can re-attack my back by extending his leg. Exactly. So let's go back. So rather than committing to the truck, look, my knee comes behind his knee. My leg comes out. I start to extend. And I just go into the leg drag. I'm not sacrificing nearly as much. Let's come back this way. More places. We're going to talk about specific applications, but not as much on the rolling. Single leg X, boom, back step, roll. And I'm here, right? Maybe I already leg drag, you're good. I have the shell. I start to dig in here. He starts to turn into me. And I rolling leg drag. It's in so many different places, guys. And it definitely might seem intimidating at first. And it should be. It's a hard learning curve. It's the most advanced technique, principle, application on this instructional, but it's the most versatile. It's so useful that I definitely urge you to try to learn it. You don't need to have flexibility or dexterity. You don't need to be athletic. You don't need to be a black belt. You just need to understand the mechanics. So one more time, slowly. I'm here. I backstep. Let's imagine my leg's not even in. Look, I just bring my hip on his hip for a split second. I'm going really slow. Control his leg. And the most important part, let's turn actually. Let's turn over here. The most important part is going to be to get this leg behind his leg. Can you move this leg? This leg just has to come behind his leg. Once I get the leg behind his leg, all I have to do is just extend that leg and start to attack. It's a great way to attack against people that Bremblo. It's a great way to attack against leg blockers. It's such a versatile concept. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'd feel guilty if I didn't at least put that in the instructional. We're going to elaborate on the rolling leg drag a little bit. That's not the main focal point of this instructional because there's so much to take from it. That's not the rolling leg drag. And I don't want people to get fixated on fancy stuff like that because although it may be fancy, it does work. So that's it. And I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to talk about it more in the next volume.